Mario Kart 9 is amongst the most anticipated Switch title that has yet to be announced. I know this because every video I do regarding Mario Kart 9 has done beyond exceptionally well. My video 9 Things Mario Kart 9 Needs reached almost 150,000 views, along with a major boost in subscribers, so welcome to the channel if you're new, or good to see you again if you're a Demeach regular. And with that being said, I wanted to give you guys a big thank you and create a video covering specifically your ideas for Mario Kart 9. Going through the comments, I saw a ton of comments regarding concepts I already covered in the original video, so anything like a better roster, double carts, and arcade content won't be on this list because I'd essentially be making the same video again. But in regard to one topic, I noticed mission mode over and over again in the comments. There might be some confusion about the adventure mode idea I had, but essentially, adventure mode is mission mode with a hub world and story, so that's the reason why I won't cover it here. But anything I didn't cover is fair game, so without further ado, here are 9 more things Mario Kart 9 needs.
Let's go! Here we go!
This is one that I feel isn't just a want, but is probably a given. Continued support after launch. Nintendo's multiplayer games have evolved since Mario Kart 8, and ever since Splatoon, they've featured frequent content updates, such as new weapons and stages in Splatoon, and characters in Mario Tennis. This could happen in Mario Kart 9, and it's already happening in Mario Kart Tour via bi-weekly updates. But Nintendo has to be very careful doing this. With Mario Tennis Aces, the game was extremely lacking in content at launch, but got character updates over the course of a year or so, and this is what I like to call
the fix-it-later approach.
I despise this approach, but the good news is, Nintendo hasn't released a game severely lacking in content since then, and as long as Mario Kart 9 has a good amount of content at launch, this is a great idea that'll keep the game afloat and keep hype for the game. I've seen this idea thrown around a lot. Mario Kart Wii introduced bikes to the series, which handle differently than karts. Some of them could inside drift, and you can even do wheelies. The wheelies would give you an extra speed boost, and were great while racing on straight paths. But with bikes returning in Mario Kart 8, they were different. Some of them had inside drifting, but you couldn't do the wheelies again. Mario Kart Wii was built around motion controls, and I get that, and you did the wheelies by tilting the Wii remote up. But you could also use a classic controller or GameCube controller, and trick by doing the wheelies by pressing up on the D-pad. That was a bit awkward to play. But Mario Kart 8 assigned tricking to the ZR button, so they could do the same for wheelies in Mario Kart 9 if you don't use the tilt controls. Personally, I think that'd be fun to see return, considering how it made the bikes feel more different and more fun to handle than the karts. And speaking of content returning from Mario Kart Wii, peanut butter and jelly, Wario and Waluigi. You can't have one without the other. And wheelies and half pipes fit this rule too. In Mario Kart Wii, they had half pipes. These were things you could trick off of and get a killer speed boost. It almost feels like you're on a roller coaster after using one. But they haven't returned since Mario Kart Wii, and I would love to see them return. It gives the game a more extreme sports feeling, and tracks like DK Summit wouldn't be DK Summit without them. And on the topic of that, I want trick animations to return. See, in Mario Kart Wii after tricking, your character would actually perform a trick, but in later games, you'd just get a little short animation. Just a small thing I'd add back. I can see you guys really like Mario Kart Wii, and I can see why too, because I love the game. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you only had one unlockable character being Gold Mario, but if you played Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U like I did, there were unlockables, but all were unlocked after getting first place on a cup, and then were unlocked randomly. Pretty boring if you ask me, but in Mario Kart Wii, unlocking characters actually meant something. See, when I was 10, it was my lifelong dream to unlock every character in Mario Kart Wii, and years later, I eventually did. But in Mario Kart Wii, you think first place is gonna cut it? How about getting at least 1 star in every 150cc Nitro Cup, or unlocking at least 4 expert staff ghosts for the best Mario Kart character yet? Unlocking stuff in Mario Kart Wii was very rewarding and varied, and I'd love to see that return. Really, anything beyond only getting first place in a cup would be great. This is a collection of ideas I see thrown around constantly, but they all fit under the same umbrella. Mario Kart 8 introduced non-Mario characters to the main series, and many people want more of this. I've seen Captain Falcon and Kirby thrown around a lot, but also Sonic characters and even Bayonetta characters. People just like the idea of more than just Mario racers, and I'm all for guest characters in Mario Kart. But I want the Mario roster to be the main focus, and then have guest characters secondly. You can't really tell me that we can have Pink Gold Peach, but not Kamek, but we can't have Link. Something just doesn't sit right with me there. But I will say, I'd be pretty happy to see Captain Falcon and Namco characters for the arcade games in Mario Kart 9. Short answer? Just make sure the Mario roster is good, and you can add as many guest characters as you want. This was a super interesting idea. Multiple ways to race. Some examples of this were the crazy snaking from Mario Kart DS being a mode, wheelies, and double carts. I will say, I disagree with this. Double kart should be a separate mode, and wheelies should be a standard for bikes, but snaking was unintentionally broken. That's not saying the idea is bad though. It would be interesting to see, and it kinda reminds me of how Super Mario Maker has different styles. It's an interesting idea to think about, just a little bit hard to comprehend how it would work. These two ideas go hand in hand. Gliders and underwater sections. They're pretty cool. But what about actual planes and boats like in Diddy Kong Racing? Those would be very cool additions and could change the way you race. With the gliders and underwater sections, they really just help the flow of the course keep going. But with planes and boats, they can change the way you play a course. Boats could be much faster, but a bit harder to drift with. And planes wouldn't be able to drift at all, but you're flying all over the track just like you could in Banjo Pilot. While I think these are highly unlikely because gliding and underwater sections do exist, it's cool to think about. This is a concept introduced in Mario Kart Tour, but would be great to see in a game that is actually good. Mario Kart Tour introduced tracks based on real-world locations, and the concept is great. We have New York Minute, Tokyo Blur, Vancouver Velocity, and a few others already, but I had some ideas of more tracks based on real-world locations. Imagine actually racing on Germany's Autobahn, taking a drive around the beautiful islands of Greece, exploring the Sahara Desert, and even going across Belgium in a game that won't be banned over there. Those are some ideas that I had. I've always loved the concept of real-world inspired locations in Mario, and these would be cool to see. Before we get to the big one, here are some smaller ideas that I think would be great. Gyoshi the Red added to my idea of having minigames by having a ring rally like in Crash Team Racing. Jordan Patron gave me the idea of a fusion item box that could fuse two items together, which could combine their powers, and Megalo gave me the idea of having the ability to carry a coin behind you to protect you from attacks. I can't stress enough how good of an idea that is, because coins are terrible as is. And finally, we have this idea. I've seen this one thrown around a lot. A way to create racetracks. The idea of Mario Kart Maker has been thrown around a little bit, and while I think Nintendo would treat it more as its own game than a mode, they have had games with stage builders in the past, like Smash, and even F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64 DD had a track editor, and it's something that could increase the replay value of Mario Kart 9 a lot. If it's its own game, they'll go the Super Mario Maker route and have different game styles, which would probably be Super Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Kart Wii, and Mario Kart 8. But if Mario Kart 9 has a track maker, I think it'll be a way to create racetracks in the style of Mario Kart 9. So these are some great ideas and interesting ideas, and I had a lot of fun going over them, and definitely look forward to seeing more ideas. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and keep calm and dada on.